From slaves to kings, from thanes to churls, Anglo-Saxons knew how to ransack a town, to create utter chaos in the midst of once peaceful people. The Old English conquerors destroyed towns and communities to gain power and possession, an ideal that lasted for generations.
By the end of our presentation, you will know the social structure of the Anglo-Saxon people, what each person's role within the complex system is, and how they contributed to the efficiency of an international power. In addition to the philosophical ranking system, the audience will come to understand about the social appearance of each social class in regard to their clothing and the materials used to create them. Finally, the audience will better understand the markets in which the Anglo-Saxon people participated and how economy influenced social status.
We conducted research using credible sources such as the Thesaurus of Old English and its outlines in terms of life in Anglo-Saxon England and clothing. In addition to other online resources, we used literature that gave valuable background information for Beowulf such that we can better understand the overall time period.
We will now begin by reviewing the foundation and structure of their society. By exploring the Anglo-Saxon society, we can determine the order and the function of the Anglo-Saxon community and the citizens' roles.
The first topic we are going to discuss is the hierarchy and social structure within Anglo-Saxon society. There were 4 pillars of rank. The highest were the kings who ruled over the kingdoms and held a unique royal household and held the highest authority. The next pillar was the thanes. These were lords and warriors who were loyal to their king. Churls were the next level, peasants and merchants who had the ability to achieve thane status if they could fulfill all possible requirements. The lowest level were the thralls. They made up about 10% of the population and were slaves born into slavery, a prisoner of war, or serving time for a crime. Let's dive a little deeper into the role the king played.
Let's talk about the kings. Kings during the Anglo-Saxon period found their purpose in protecting their people. Kings, in an effort to assert their dominance, would conquer lands far and wide for the betterment of their communities. As a result of their violent tendencies, kings would gain massive amounts of land and money and resources in their conquest. Victorious kings were expected to share their spoils with loyal followers and the people that supported them politically. This concept can be connected to some of our studies in American history with the spoils system and Andrew Jackson's administration. A more prevalent connection is to the character Skjold Skifing, who Hrothgar descends from in Beowulf. His name means shield or protector, signifying how the king's main role was the protection of his people. One final point relating to the role of the king and their bloodline is that they were meant to be part of the royal bloodline. So any man looking to become king, or if the king died and a new one was needed, they needed to be of royal blood, but there was no direct bloodline until King Alfred. This brings us to the mobility within the social classes. Unlike some other more rigid civilizations, the Anglo-Saxons had some wiggle room. They could move up and they could move down. So next up, we have social mobility. As I said, there were more opportunities for growth and development within this system. Slaves could potentially gain freedom and improve their social status if their masters agreed to free them. The middle-ranking citizens could advance with loyal and dedicated military service, or if they were literate, meaning they could read and write. This was a valuable skill at the time, and it would lead to social advancement. Before I finish, I will mention one more point, that children inherited the social status of their parents. But because of the mobility of the Anglo-Saxon social system, they were able to make their own way and pave their own path.
Now, with an understanding of the social structure, hierarchy, and society of the Anglo-Saxon period, we will shift the focus to clothing and everyday wear of the Anglo-Saxons, including the materials and process of making those articles. Let's start by discussing the different gender trends. Women wore a linen or wool underdress with long sleeves and a neckline that could be adjusted with a drawstring, similar to how modern-day hoodies can be cinched. For wealthier women, sleeves were fastened with clasps, while poorer women had string fastened. The outer dress was called peplos, which originated from ancient Greek fashion. It was a long rectangular piece of fabric folded at the shoulders and pinned at the waist like a toga. As time went on, the peplos went out of style and were replaced with gowns. These gowns or tunics were heavily influenced by Christianity,
displaying modesty but still very decorative and colorful in nature. Now onto the attire of an Anglo-Saxon man. Men wore wool or linen undershirts and trousers, which were held up with a decorative belt. The belt was functional as well as stylish and served as a tool belt. Further on in the timeline, clothing became more and more a reflection of social status. Now we'll get into topic 5, the materials with which these products were made. Anglo-Saxon clothes were locally homemade, which required skills in weaving, spinning, and dyeing. This process was primarily a responsibility of the women. Weaving provided a space for women to work and socialize at the same time. The majority of fabric for clothing was linen and wool because it was readily accessible and practical for the technological processes they were using to create fabrics. Flax plants, which produced linen, grew well in the climate of the region. Shoes were made of leather, which was durable and accessible to them. Leather allowed shoes to be comfortable, durable, and long-lasting. Anglo-Saxon clothing is often depicted in vibrant colors, and the range and vibrancy of color displayed social status and wealth. As I just mentioned, and as we discussed in topic 4, clothing was becoming increasingly reflective of wealth and social status, which Aiden will expand on now.
Let's dive into topic 6 to expand on the materials and markets in which the Anglo-Saxon people participated. We're going to break down where these products came from and the acquisition of wealth through trade, imports, and exports in the overall economic system of early England. As the Norman invasion was becoming more and more imminent, England's wealth was at its peak. Their communities were becoming urbanized with more defining and high-quality coinage systems. The wealth of the people depended on their active participation in international trade networks, particularly the exportation of wool and the importation of silver, which supported their coinage system that we will discuss next. The widespread use of coinage was a symbol of great strength. The Anglo-Saxon coinage often featured a depiction of the king, a cross, symbols, and writing that stated the type of coin it is. After the Anglo-Saxons got away from using Roman currency, they made their own very valuable gold coins. These gold coins were used for large-scale transactions rather than everyday commercial transactions. Instead of monetary exchange, many merchants used the barter system where then they exchanged goods. To tie the accumulation of wealth to social status, ownership and money can lead to elevated social status. Okay, number 8. One of our sources by Sawyer Peters, a British historian known for his work on the Vikings in medieval England, discussed the exchange of goods between German merchants who were buying wool in England, symbolizing the widespread network of the Anglo-Saxons had created. Anglo-Saxon economy was supported for the most part by agriculture. This system allowed for surplus stockpiles to be used for trade while still maintaining enough food for supplies for the survival. They also used animals for meat, wool, dairy products, and eggs, in addition to using horses and oxen as laborers.
Now that we come to a close, we will outline the most important information to remember. The first point is a social hierarchy, including the structure of the Anglo-Saxon people, and the role each individual plays within the complex system. The second point we'll discuss is Anglo-Saxon clothing, developed substantially from simple linen and wool pieces to a more layered style. These developments, influenced by the social hierarchy and Christianity, gave women new responsibilities through weaving and spinning. Material, wool, color, and decoration all represented wealth and power. The third important point to remember is the idea that early England was very influential and prosperous, utilizing the ability of its well-organized kingdoms. These kingdoms gained wealth from efficient coinage, trade in the industries of wool and silver, and a strong system of agriculture leading to economic prosperity.
We conclude this presentation with a goodbye.
Or in Old English, West Gazoond.